I wonder what's going to happen. I'm already getting sick of them. I reached out. My hand wasn't shaking anymore. Semyon handed me the mask and let out an evil laugh. The fur felt warm to the touch, just like I expected. I got goosebumps. Electricity flowed through my spine.
Вот оно, мое спасение.
A voice whispered to me from the well of my subconscious. Just put it on and nobody will hurt you. The forest froze, gazing at me with cracks in the bark. I acted slowly. I took off my glasses. Got rid of the nasty spit on the papier-mâché. There was movement inside of the bunny face, as if something was trying to break out, and I needed to help it. I lifted up the mask and started moving it toward my flaming cheeks. Just like in that movie with Jim Carrey. The mask! This mask had power. This mask had strength. Carton touched my skin. It enveloped my skull, my nose, took the shape of my face. It smelled like an animal hair, like an animal lair and pine. My lips touched some sort of hard, wavy material. My armor. Strangely enough, through the slits of the old carnival mask, I was able to see as good as through my glasses. A trio of boys frozen in the clearing. Snowflakes frozen in the air. The trees whose shadows formed black streams toward me. And a weird silhouette in the early twilight behind the windfall. In all that silence, Semyon nervously whispered,
Пацаны, что это с ним?
I broadened my shoulders. My muscles felt like they were made of steel. Invisible plumes of fog flew toward me, breaking off the trees. I was absorbing the forest's power with every pore of my body. I smiled underneath the mask. No, I showed my teeth. My fists were clenching. My stomach was growling.
Он превращается!
You asked for this. I made a step forward. Semyon carefully stepped toward me as if he was walking on thin ice. A trail from my dreams snaked in front of me again. Endless, alluring, it was beckoning me away from all the problems, to the new wonderful world, the world of Magic Neverland. I pulled on the zipper, opening my coat and threw it into the snow with a fast motion. Then growled. I felt like something was frantically looking for the exit underneath my skin. I went towards Semyon.
Он превращается! Твою мать! Превращается! Конченого мудака!
The clearing blew up in hysteric laughter. Yasha was clutching his stomach. Roma smirked, shaking his head. And Semyon, who was laughing the most out of the three, spat on his knuckles and waved his fist like a club.
Ну и дебил же ты, Тошик!
A fist collided with my mask. The fur didn't dampen the blow at all. There was no power, no magic smoke coming from the pines. I flew toward the bushes and landed on my butt. To my horror, Polina, pale in the face, stood behind the back of the jeering trio. She looked at me with a mix of surprise and bewilderment. And maybe even disappointment. What else did I expect? That I will turn into a superhero and save her after putting on a piece of old carton on my stupid face? My vision, bolstered by adrenaline a moment before, returned to normal. Polina's nervous face became blurry again.
Вот это был номер! Думал, он на четвереньки встанет и сгрызет нас всех! Как морковку!
Не, ну вы видели? Видели? Это считается, что он попрыгал.
Это даже лучше.
I sobbed. The mask had one advantage. If I cried now, nobody would see my tears.
Ну и дурик. Да тебе в психбольнице место. Психбольница для животных, на!
Semyon put his knee into the snow pile and ripped the glasses out of my numbed fingers.
Верни ему! Верни, гад!
Отдай очки! Я домой не дойду! Чё ж, знаешь, какой у зайцев нюх? По запаху доберешься, не ссы! Прыг-скок! Прыг-скок!
Semyon shoved the trophy into his pocket and flashed me a toothy grin.
Кролики очки не носят.
А теперь вали отсюда, Даун.
I stood up, still wobbly. The trees became a blurry dark wall. 4 bright silhouettes were wobbling around me. There were black spots on them, their eye sockets and mouths, but it looked to me like there was more of them than it should be.
Полина!
I felt around aimlessly. One of the figures was about to rush toward me, but was stopped by another.
Ты не переживай, ушастый. Мы Полину сами проводим. В обиду не дадим. А то тут психов по лесу шляется, мама не горюй. Да, Полин?
She didn't reply. She stepped back toward the bushes. I was overflowing with despair. I turned to the forest. Semyon's boot came to my rescue, kicking me in the butt and quickening my shameful retreat.
Прыг-скок! Прыг-скок!
I threw the mask into a ravine out of spite, and then zigzagged through the firebreak, alone in a giant snow-laden world. The trunks around me bent in all directions. Their treetops disappeared into the darkness above me. The sky was pushing me down. I wanted to cry, but my eyes were completely dry by now. Only sadness and longing were left, a desire to bury myself under the snow, or leave for the Neverland, joining Vova and Senya. I didn't care where to go, just somewhere far away from here. Somewhere very far away. Somehow made it back home.
Так, я не поняла. Антон, а где очки? Потерял?
Да, ну, мам,
И как можно быть таким рассеянным? Ты думаешь, я деньги печатаю? Как же? Будешь до следующего года в старых очках ходить.
Olya rushed to me.
а я лису увидела!
Surprise akin to a shotgun blast. I could only flap my lips in reply. A cup shattered into many little pieces with a loud thang. My mom let it fall from her hands. Her face was pale and her eyes were glued to the ground. This pause, just a split second, felt like an eternity. Then my mom spoke with disappointment.
То сова, то лиса. Когда ж тебе надоест?
Правда, правда! Такая пушистая! Она у забора стояла на задних лапах, совсем как человек. Она меня позвала, а тут мама вышла, и лиса убежала.
Не было там никакой лисы. Не выдумывай.
Не подходи к ней.
If it was necessary, I was ready to shake my sister as if she was a doll made of cloth.
Ты чего, Тоша? Не подходи, слышишь?
Mom entered the hallway and gave me a surprised look. I hesitated.
Ну, лиса ведь укусить может.
I remembered fairy tales where foxes used to kidnap children. I imagined Elisa, liberated, carnivorous, running through the night forest with a dangling sack in her hands.
Это ж была не настоящая лиса. Расскажи ему, Оль.
Она на 2 ногах ходила, а еще была в платье одета. Только она была взаправду.
Видишь?
Mom showed us a tired smile, as if it was the only explanation needed. I also forced myself to smile. My smile was like a thin piece of soap, right before it dissolves completely on your palm. But when I was left alone with my sister, I whispered,
Еще раз увидишь ее, беги.
I shut my eyes and threw the vitamins in my mouth, washed them down with water. Please stop driving me mad. Please. I was doing my homework on a Friday evening, like usual. I had already finished the hard part. There was only my art homework left, my favorite subject. I needed to draw some sort of magic beast. I wanted to draw a dino at first, but my brush reached toward the orange paint all by itself. One stroke after another, the picture of a fox started slowly forming on a piece of paper. She was almost popping out of the snow-white sheet. She stood on her back legs and wore a sly smile. My brush moved again, drawing a fluffy tail. A moment later, it dropped out of my weak hand. After I finished my drawing, I spent a while studying it in surprise, as if I couldn't understand where this red beast came from. The longer I looked, the scarier her smile felt. Carnivorous, fake, like the smiles of women from adult magazines that were sold in press kiosks back in the city. An alluring smile that masked deep-seated malice. And the fox's eyes turned out red, as if bloodshot. They looked more like bullet holes you see in action movies. I don't remember drawing them this way. I moved away from the table and the lamp's light reflected from the wet paint. The drawing was glossy. It felt like the fox was watching me. Waiting.
Ты что, оглох?
Я задумался.
Тебя спрашиваю, ты сестру не видел? Опять она где-то прячется.
Uh-oh. Something moved under my bed and I froze. Olya's dirty face peeked out with a finger pressed to her lips.
Оля, я тебя вижу. Вылезай, ты же в пыли вся.
Olya crawled from under the bed and started dusting off her stockings, looking down.
Пойдем, Оль. Я тебе сказку почитаю. Посижу с тобой, пока не уснешь.
Я с вами спать хочу, не в той комнате. Там...
Mom entered the room.
Что, опять сова?
А кто ж еще? Оль, она не придет больше. Я ее прогнал.
Olya shook her head in defiance.
Не прогнал. Она придет. Она сказала, что будет каждую ночь приходить.
О, так она у тебя говорящая?
Olya ignored the question and then asked with newfound determination.
Можно я с вами посплю? Можно? В самый последний раз.
А пусть у меня ложится.
I thought it was a great idea, but Olya shook her head again.
Нет, у тебя не хочу. Она и на тебя смотрит.
I felt goosebumps all over my body.
Хватит! Нет никакой совы. Ты сегодня спишь у себя, ясно?
Ну, пожалуйста, мам! Пожалуйста!
Mom took Olya's hand and tried to lead her out of my room.
Пойдем, милые. Не мешай брату.
Olya clutched the bed's head with her free hand.
Пожалуйста, пожалуйста, пожалуйста! Не хочу к ней!
Mom was tugging Olya toward herself, but she didn't budge. Only the bed's head squeaked in agony. Dad intervened by picking Olya up and carrying her out of the room, despite her desperate protests and pleas.
Не надо! Не надо к ней! Она опять смотреть будет! Мамочка, пожалуйста!
I've listened to them struggling to make my little sister go to bed for a while.
Мне страшно! Мама, папа!
In the end, my parents gave up and let Olya sleep with them. But it was surely the last time. ever. When everybody settled down, I was lying in my room, thinking about Olya's words. It's watching you too. I felt uncomfortable. I barely managed to calm down only after closing the curtains in my room shut. But as soon as I closed my eyes, memories of my day started jumping around in front of me. I was in the middle of the stuffy school corridor. I could see the literature classroom from here, the faces of dead classical writers on their portraits, the prim and regal pose of our homeroom teacher, Lilia Pavlovna. And around that corner was her daughter Katya, a snitch and a gossip, eagerly waiting for me.
Эй, новенький, новенький.
Чего тебе, Кать?
Is this like the next day, or is this him dreaming? She got on her tiptoes and started swaying, while her hands behind her back and hiding her hands behind her back, and then asked me with a fake smile on her face.
Скажи, пожалуйста, а чего это тебя к нам перевели, а?
I might have told the truth about this to Polina, but Katya will sell it on the market for 3 kopeikas. It would be the same as printing all my thoughts and hanging them near Volva's picture for everyone to see. So I reverted to an answer I knew by heart.
Это все из-за моих родителей. У папы тут новая работа, а мама...
But Katya didn't even listen to me, just rushed toward the perked-up ears of her friends, whispered something while stealing glances at me and giggling.
Да-да, конечно, конечно. Он нас тут совсем за дурачков держит. Я вот слыхала, что это все из-за его отца. Он недавно кому-то крутому дорогу перешел, и теперь они всей своей семейкой в нашем захолустье скрываются.
Неправда! Ты все врешь!
А слышали? Слышали, как ему Бабурин всыпал? А этот лишь ручки опустил, да глазенки потупил.
Прекрати! Ты знаешь, он не один был!
И будто этого мало. Ходят слухи, что этот чудик повсюду таскает с собой заячью маску. Ой, девочки, ну кто же в своем уме будет такое делать? Ясно, понятно. Со странностями наш Антошка. Может, слабоумный, а может и маньяк. Если в его портфеле хорошо покопаться, там и топор отыскать можно. А может, да-да-да.
Замолчи! Заткнись!
Вон как раскричался-то, будто ужаленный. А зрачки-то, зрачки какие широкие. Опять чего доброго с катушек слетит и руки распускать начнет. Не зря же его мать с таблетками пичкает.
I just stood there in confusion, trying in vain to understand how she found out about my medicine. And what scared me even more was the possibility that her nonsense had some truth mixed in.
Да-да. Он такой же ненормальный, как и его сестрица.
So this must be a dream. How the hell would she know about all this shit?
Представляете, к этой сумасшедшей дурочке каждую ночь прилетает сова ростом с человека.
Yeah, exactly. He never even told Polina about this.
Только что-то ее никто из здоровых людей не видел. А этот наивный простак ей верит. Нет, ну вы представляете?
And then I caught a single kind look from the smirking crowd.
Как же так, Антон? Неужели действительно тебе не здоровится?
Полина, послушай меня!
Как же? Не слушай этого болтуна, Полиночка. Свистит он, что в Москве бывал, как пить дать. Это ничтожество даже постоять за себя не может. А при случае и за тебя не заступится. Бросит, думая, как бы только самому по шее не схлопотать. Слабак.
Paulina slouched as if someone kicked her in the stomach, and then burst out in tears and fell to the dirty floor, wailing and screaming.
Нет! Антон! Почему? За что?
I couldn't understand her reaction, but I still rushed to Paulina's side before getting shoved violently by Katya.
Убери от нее свои лапы, чудовище!
Rage was building up under the veil of my fear. It slowly rose from the cloudy mist. I felt my upper lip lift. I felt my upper lip lift up, showing my teeth.
То, что твой отец бьет мать, еще не дает тебе права поднимать руку на девушку!
My fists became hammers. I couldn't unclench them. Nobody can speak about my family like that. I came to my senses when I already lunged at the angry Katya.
Ага! Слетел-таки! Слетел! Спасите! Помогите! Петров с катушек слетел!
At the same moment, the crowd around her became louder. It started whistling and roaring. And growling. The subtle silhouettes of my schoolmates became larger, wider. They shot upward toward the ceiling. Turned into a giant black forest, chock full of toothy faces. I shrank to a tiny ball of fur and started shaking in fear before the might of ulcer-ridden trunks that belonged to either trees or humans. It was impossible to tell.
Вот ты и показал свое животное нутро! Трус!
Katya's face was twisted with jubilation and ecstasy.
Почему? Нет! За что?
Paulina screamed while choking on her tears.
Он! Животное! Чужак!
A scary flapping of wings came from the forest. A pair of giant white ears descended somewhere from above, and I dug myself into them.
Пожалуйста! Вставай!
I jumped up, almost falling out of bed. Apparently, I was thrashing around for hours on the sweat-soaked sheets. Olya's scream pulled me out, set me free from the tentacles of fear.
Антон! Пожалуйста! Вставай! Вставай!
It took my eyes a while to focus on the silhouette near the window. Olya's voice was distant. My head was still ringing after the fight. Sounds got distorted, as if my ears were stuffed with cotton. My sister, as distressed as ever, just kept on repeating the same phrase.
Сова! Сова! Пожалуйста! Я боюсь!
Her tears poured on my heart like boiling water, but I was almost thankful for the owl's appearance. Otherwise, this scared Olya wouldn't have woken me up.
Оля, я сейчас. Хочешь, я тебе Мурзилку почитаю? Подожди.
I placed my bare heels on the cold floor, felt around for my glasses, remembered Semyon, his underhanded act, and sighed.
Антон! Пожалуйста! Пожалуйста! Посмотри!
She couldn't tear her eyes off the window, as if it was a staring contest. Didn't Olya get to sleep with her parents? She shouldn't be in my room. I found the light switch with my hand. The lamp poured bright light all over me. I got up. My vision fooled me, moving the window closer only to push it farther the next moment. My sister was just a blurry spot. I took a hesitant step forward.
Оль, что там? Что-то случилось? Ты хочешь, чтобы я открыл шторы?
Нет, не надо! Там же сова!
The voice was coming from behind. Teary-eyed Olya stood in the doorway.
С кем ты разговаривал, братик?
Oh, shit. She stared at me with eyes that were red from crying, with her hands wrapped around her shoulders. Her voice was nervous, as if she was afraid to hear my answer.
Я разговаривал с тобой. С тем, кто притворился тобой.
The ledge outside my windows creaked ominously, as if something huge was sitting on top of it. And the thing that pretended to be Olya started spreading, changing shape, growing to scary heights under the light of a carnivorous moon. What the fuck? The voice didn't belong to my sister anymore. The thing that was hiding behind my curtains got tired of pretending, making me look like a fool. I pinched myself as hard as I could, hoping that the silhouette near the window was just a continuation of my nightmare. Yeah, hopefully, that's it. A hallucination brought upon by the cursed house. And those don't bite, do they? The silhouette was towering before me under the veil of mist. I heard Olya's shrill scream when someone had knocked on the window.
Она пришла за нами!
Another knock. I stepped back into the middle of the room, as if there existed nooks where I could hide from this horror. The sound was sharp, metallic. The lamp started shimmering, then it suddenly lighted the hole and went out. Like a candle went under a strong wind, the filament inside it snapped with a ringing sound. The darkness that was waiting for that exact moment poured from all the angles and enveloped me. There was only this window left in the whole universe. Moonlight poured through it, painting everything up the color of bones that were exhumed from a crypt. Olya started squealing and pressed herself into my back, seeking protection. And then an eye, burning with a carnivorous fire, stared at us from the window. No, it wasn't trying to break the window. It was toying with us. It just kept on knocking, driving us mad. As if a giant clock was measuring the time left for us, its pendulum swinging above the abyss. She was screaming in desperation, her hands clutching my arm like a pair of pincers. I could barely make out a pair of wings that spread out above the black spot.
Скажи ей, Антон! Скажи, что я больше не буду себя плохо вести! Никогда! Только пусть она уйдет! Пожалуйста!
The moonlight suddenly disappeared and the room descended into darkness. We couldn't see the burning eye anymore. I swallowed the stingy lump that was stuck in my throat. I stepped toward the curtains, entranced by the call of this disfigured guest.
Не буду!
Olya was standing behind me, mumbling, I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good. The bleak window was creeping closer. Curtains rustled. I reached out to move them aside so I could look my fear in the eye. At that moment, I heard noise coming from our parents' bedroom. Without thinking, I pulled the curtain to the side in one swing. Nothing. Though, there was something shining on the ledge among the scattered feathers. My glasses. The ones that Semyon took from me. How did they get here? Was that a gift from the gurgling night? Did that owl really bring them here? I looked at the front yard, at the foreboding clearing, at the toothy forest. Not a soul. Not a trace of our late-night guest. Only the old lamp-post, dreaming like a lone watchman among the snowy desert. The dry window frame creaked. I tore away the insulating tape and the stipes of glued newspapers. Opened the window with big trouble. Frost pinned me with its little needles. The paintings on my walls moved from the draft. I touched my glasses, sure they would melt in my hands. But they were real. My brain was scrambling for an explanation. Semyon and his gang just pulled a prank on me, that was it. That's it. A smooth white blanket was glittering under the street lamp just outside our yard. If anybody was to get close to the house, to climb the pipe to the ledge of my window, they would surely leave footprints. But there were none. I cautiously took my glasses. My wrist was still intact. Nobody pulled me into the darkness, full of restless writhing.
Вы почему не спите?
I swayed from surprise and almost fell out of the window.
Совсем сдурели? Жарко, что ли? Не болели давно?
Там сова была! Тоша ее прогнал!
А ну-ка марш спать к себе в комнату! А с тобой...
Mom paused, directing her seething eyes at me. She was thinking of a punishment equivalent to my crime. In the end, she just waved her hand, took Olya by the shoulder and left, throwing gloomy words my way.
Завтра поговорим.
I managed to get the frame back in place with a couple of hits, pressed in the latches with all the strength my fingers could muster. The cold left the room, but the fear was still present. I placed my glasses on my nose and started studying my reflection in the window. It didn't look like a face, more like a death mask. Just like the one worn by the boy from the notice board. That night, I was on the edge of joining him there. A black and white face was staring at me through the clearing between student heads. And it wasn't Vova. His face was right beside it. I recognized the fat cheeks, the damaged skin. Semyon. Baburin's photo was printed out and placed under the glass like an exhibition piece. Wow! Oh my god, I loved that chapter. I fucking hated those bullies, but I loved that chapter. Oh my god. I'm definitely gonna keep I'm definitely gonna keep Let's Playing this game as more episodes come out. So yeah, that was episode 2 of Tiny Bunny. It's in early access right now, and you can buy it and wait for the episodes to come out yourself, if you're entirely interested. But, with that said, this has been Mr. Bacon Bits with a extra long recording session. I may have split it up a bit. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. And I'll see you again on the next project. See you guys then.